If you have been enjoying Edinburgh Business Stories and you want to keep up to date with some of the new episodes we've got coming out every other week, then why not subscribe? The stories, the guests we have are absolutely incredible and we wouldn't want you to miss out. David, so great to have you on.
Great to be here.
Yeah, so just give our listeners a snapshot, who you are and what you do.
So David Boyle and iFire UK is the main business that I've got and run it since 2009. Started back then with my dad, and we've gone from there. But as I was saying to you, prior to that, I've sort of been dabbling on bits and bobs and seeing what I can do. So it goes back to primary 5 when my mum and dad refused to pay for top trumps cards. Said they were too expensive and not worth the money, and all my classmates had them. So I went on clip art and I made my own top trumps. I went to school, I've sold them. And the teacher ended up finding out and made me give all the cards back and all the money back. And at that point, I turned around to mum and dad and said, school's not for me. So 8 or 9 years old, and that was it. From then, I've had the Bouncy Castle company that we'll probably go into, and then on to iFire.
Yeah. So tell us, what does iFire do right now?
So fire and security system, so CCTV, access control, fire alarms, intruder alarms. We're just moving into digital signage and networks, so IP networks and Wi-Fi. So it's a new thing to come in the next 6 months or so. So looking forward to that.
But it's not just that as well. You've also got some other business interests as well.
Yeah, the coffee shop. So
all right,
product placement.
What's the name of this one? Oh, it's the Bonnie Barista.
Yeah, the Bonnie Barista. So started that 2 years ago. This month started. 2 years ago in July. We've now got 3. So we've got the Bruntsfield location that we opened and North Castle Street on top of Ball Green, which opened up 2 years ago. Yeah.
Very good.
Great. So you mentioned primary school wasn't for you. You quickly learned that school wasn't the place. Well, why?
School in general wasn't for me. All the way through, I think I was a bit of a naughty boy, to say it's me. And I think getting treated like a kid and told what to do all the time, it didn't sit well with me.
At the age of 8, you didn't like being treated like a kid.
Correct. Yeah, pretty much. And he used to always come home and, have you done this? No, I don't want to do that. And, it's just a bit, probably not the best behaved in my childhood, but, I don't think it's done much harm. And going all the way through school, just always rebelled, always had an answer for things, I was quite quick thinking on my feet and a bit witty. So when they asked me things, and if I've, little things when I was at primary school, I'd never read the book, I'd never do the homework, and I'd always remain friends with the clever kids in the class, and I sort of went to them and say, what was it about? And I'd speak to them before going into the class, and they'd tell me. So when I got asked the questions, the teacher would try and catch me out, and I'd have all the answers, but I hadn't read it. So I went from there, and then all the way through to high school as well. Told you I actually got kicked out of school and then got asked to leave. Actually, I didn't quite get kicked out, but I think it was a polite way, and didn't sit any standard grades, didn't sit any exams, just left and went working full time.
And so was it so you mentioned, you didn't like being told what to do, but then was it the pursuit of money that you liked, or control of your own destiny, or what about it back then do you think was the main driver?
I think it was just the drive to do better and do your own thing. I always wanted to do my own thing and guide my own path rather than being told, you have to do this, follow it this way, do it that way. And I think that's definitely still the case.
So I was going to say, you were destined to start your own business then and become
exactly.
a business owner.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, my dad, I was on the phone with him earlier, and he says, when he went to a parents' night at school, and it was about 2 months after he had just sold his business, and they were reading through a page and what's David want to be? And this is when they still want to be policemen and firemen. I've written down, I'm going to work in my dad's company, and he just sold the business. So I just found that out, actually.
Brilliant. And was his business
It was, yeah, fire and security as well. So he sold that when I was young. His receptionist went into, she had a baby, and took the first 6 months, took the second 6 months, and then he ended up selling it. So he went on to he sold the company, and he got headhunted to manage another company, and that's where I started my apprenticeship.
Right, okay.
But that was after the bouncy castle thing. So tell us about what happened with that.
So when I was 15, my dad's, obviously I'm talking about leaving school. He could obviously see the path I was going down, saying, right, he's going to have to do something. So he came to me one day and said, if I gave you £5,000, what would you do with it? Just what would you do with it? You got to go out and buy clothes, you got to buy a TV. I said, no, I'd start a company. He said, okay, what company? He said, go away and think about it and come back with a business plan. Of course, I don't know what a business plan was at that age. So I went away and I came back. I've got my business plan. What is it? I'm going to buy bouncy castles. They say, well, what are you got to do with them? I said, I'm going to rent them out. Right, okay. So he listened to me and he said, are you sure about bouncy castles? You've explored any other option? I went, no, bouncy castles. And I was adamant on this. So he told me to go away on the computer and research them. So I did. I started getting in touch with manufacturers, started getting in touch with, it was a company down south. I was speaking back and forth in emails and I ended up designing my own bouncy castle, designing a bouncy boxing ring and sumo suits. So we designed it all, negotiated prices and all sorts, and then went to my dad and he agreed to buy it all. So, and then from there, I waited up till 5 a.m. on the delivery day. And Dad kept telling me to go to bed, but I stayed on the couch. The delivery comes at 5 a.m. and I've got it. And I'm just sitting there with these big, massive bags of bouncy castle and didn't know what to do. And I said, can we put them up? And I was like, no, 5 o'clock in the morning. So the next day, we went up to my grand's house and put them up in the back garden to see what they were like. And that was it, the bouncy castle in the flesh. And the agreement we had was any bookings I get, he'll drive me, because I was only 15 at this time. I couldn't drive. The agreement was any bookings we have, he'll drive me to them and help me do it. So I was trying to drive to get more and phone people he knew. He gave me his phone. I'd phone round always. Have you got your daughter's party coming up or anything? Just cold calling essentially to try and get work. And I did. You got picked up the odd booking here or there, nothing drastic. Up until we ended up getting the Falkirk Indoor Market. So every Saturday and Sunday, he'd drive me out there, put up bouncy castles, and I'd sit there for the full day.
So how did you get Falkirk Indoor Market, right? So how did you get that gig? So
my dad, again, had done the fire alarm in it. So he already had an in, and again, a cold call, can we come and put the bouncy castle in? We'll do it for free, or we end up getting a free pitch. I think I sold it as we'll do it for free. That's quite clever. We won't charge you for being there. We'll just charge our customers. Yeah. And I think end up just saying, right, on you come. We've got a pitch in the middle. Why don't you come and do it? It'll bring something to the market. And that was it. Every Saturday and Sunday, I'd be out there for 8 hours a day.
It's quite a clever pitch, that, isn't it? I won't charge you for you giving me space with all your footfall. You're a good salesperson.
It makes sense to me.
But good on your dad as well, though, because there's quite a lot of lessons in all of that. There's an awful lot of lessons.
I wouldn't say we made much money on the bouncy castles. I might have broke even when we sold it. But the life lessons and the business lessons it taught me.
Yeah.
The Falkirk Indoor Market. There's a university next to it. They came to us and came to me, said, "Can we hire it for an open day?" And I started negotiating prices with the university. So I'm 15 years old and I'm negotiating prices with university lecturers and students, and I ended up getting the better deal. So,
and that was very much your sign then to not go to uni either.
Correct,
I guess.
Yeah, I don't think with no standard grades I'd get anywhere with it. But at that stage I realised, I was like, well, why would I want to go to university when they're paying me anyway?
Yeah. So it was a natural progression then. Bouncy castles done, you're 17, 18, and then you got an apprenticeship.
Yeah, got an apprenticeship for a family-run company in the fire and security. They headhunted my dad to run their company. And I've gone down there and started my apprenticeship. So I was there for about 18 months. Once my dad decided I can't do this anymore, it wasn't a company for him, they took me in 2 days after and said, "Oh, we've not got as much work as we thought, we might have to pay you off." A week later, pulled me in the office and, sorry, we've not got a job for you anymore. Drove me up to Newbridge in the pouring rain, took my jacket off me, left me in the rain, and that was me, out to unemployed. And that lasted 24 hours. I was unemployed for 24 hours.
Because?
Next day, my dad turned around to me and said, "We're going to start up another company." And I absolutely bricked it.
How old are you at this point, sorry?
16.
You're 16 now, right? Okay.
16. Yeah, I would be 16.
Right.
So 16 years old, he said, we're going to start up the company again. And I said, no, we're not. I can't. We can't. I need money. At 16-year-old, I don't know what I was depending on. But but I said, no, we're going to start another company. And never looked back since then. So it's the best thing that happened to me.
So go on and tell us a little bit more then. So you started the company, just the two of you?
Started the company, just the two of us. My dad, obviously, from having the company before, started ringing around old contacts. He had the office that was his office before at the side of the house. It's just a really small, it's now their utility room, a couple of washing machines. And that was our office, our pride and joy. So I remember sitting down there looking at the phone, and I said, why is the phone not ringing? You've got to make the phone ring, was what I was told. Okay, so I went on Paint and I made a little flyer for a house alarm, and I posted it round the next thing in the street. I posted 20 flyers through doors that I'd printed off myself and sat at the phone, and I said, why is it not ringing? And my dad said, it doesn't just ring. And I went, but I've handed in flyers now, why aren't they phoning? And he said, I don't think flyers work. And I was adamant they would, so I went round another street handing flyers in, and this phone still didn't ring. So my dad started phoning customers that he had in the past and saying, started up again. He had a good rapport with them. He had a good business before, so we managed to draw quite a few back. Namely the one that we'd done down in Newbridge for a company at the time, Wilson Microelectronics. And we drove down there in a car that I'd just bought. So at this stage, I would have just turned 17. And I couldn't drive yet, so my dad would drive the car down in my Kia Rio that I bought. It was a 7-year-old Kia Rio, £1,400. I remember it like it was yesterday. But I'd saved up, to buy the car, and then the company would. The agreement was the company would pay for the insurance because we use it for business use. We were driving down to Newbury, and we've ended up getting a blowout doing 70 mile an hour on the motorway, and just about went inside using a truck. Was at the side of the road, taking all the alarm equipment out the back of the boot to get to the spare tyre, jacking up the car, and I've got a couple of grand's worth of equipment just lying at the side of the dual carriageway on the motorway.
Wow.
So that was our experience getting down there, and when we got to site, it was a massive office block. We didn't have much money at the time starting the business, a lot of the money goes into it. So we took blow-up beds and we slept on site.
So that's interesting though. So that was one of your early kind of customers then?
Yep.
But it was in Newbury?
Newbury, yeah. So they had an office up in Edinburgh.
That's
so
right.
They had, the main office was just round from where our office is now, still on Westfield Road. So we looked after that, and then we opened up another branch down there. But the money we made on that basically paid for a van, the insurance, the accreditation, everything to get the company going. So sleeping on site paid off.
And so what after that then? So that was a bit of a springboard for you in terms of a cash injection.
Yeah.
How did you build things from there on?
It was quite a slow progression to start. It's just me and my dad. My dad would try and bring in sales, and I'd go out, and I'm still learning at that stage. I'm still an apprentice, so he's doing a lot of the work. I'm learning very quick in the deep end, and I'd chuck him out to things and try and do sales. I was turning up, and you could tell you're turning up 18 years old, and they're just looking at you going, what is this daft wee laddie know? And I was walking out, and you're just like, I'm never getting that. I'd phone them up, so upset. I'm like, they're never going to give me that sale. And then just over, for a long time, it's just knockback after knockback. And then you'd win the odd one, you'd be so excited. And then just over time, progressively, you get more and more coming in. And it was nothing other. I knew my stuff at that age for what I was selling. If it was just a house alarm, but just no one would want to listen to a daft wee laddie, I think.
So what happened though? Because obviously you developed your competence and your confidence, in a sales environment.
Yeah, I mean, because my dad had the business before, it was always he was also in the boat club for rowing. So he was the president of Scottish Rowing at one point, and I was always at regattas and things and about the boat club with older people. So I knew how to talk to older people rather than just people more in age, and that definitely helped as a life skill, being able to communicate. And take one hat off and put another hat on, and how you talk to different people. I learned that at quite a young age, in fact a very young age, and I'm still the same now, just taking the same skill set through to talk to different people.
And how have you found that with your dad in terms of the balance as the business has grown, in terms of was he quite old school in the way that he ran things, and then you're bringing in more of a fresh approach, and what was that dynamic like?
Yeah, he didn't I wanted to spend his money straight away and buy tools, buy vans, buy this, buy that. You know, once I got over the fear of having a company, I thought, you know, I'm a millionaire. And he sort of had to rein me in a bit and say, no, you need to build up and get level. And it was a very slow progression to start. And then we took on an apprentice once I was a bit more qualified. And then, you know, just taking that jump to having an engineer as well was a massive jump for the company. And it wasn't that long ago. It was maybe about 7 years ago that we sort of took that. So it was a long time. We sort of stayed humble. We stayed where we were, and then we took that leap and took engineers on. That's when I started taking the reins a bit more.
And when you say you start taking on engineers, what did you take on, like one at a time, just quite quickly, or was there
one? No, we took on one, and we built up. We didn't take on one for a long time. We had a couple of apprentices, then an engineer, and an engineer wasn't any good, so we got rid of him, and we sort of had a stumbling block out to get to the next stage. And obviously the fear of taking on, have we got enough work coming in? I think my dad was getting older, and I should say he's not getting any younger. He'll kill me for that. But it was all on his shoulders, and I know how he feels because I've got it on my shoulders now to bring in that work. So it's all good saying you can bring in an extra engineer, but that's an extra 40 hours a week you got to fill, and to cover the wages. And you know, engineers don't want poor wages; they want good wages. Mm-hmm. So just that fear of not knowing what's the next week come, I think was a bit of a stumbling block for a bit. But then as I started bringing in sales, that sort of relieved strain in networking. So I got pushed out to network from quite a young age.
Okay, and I guess there's you know, you're in a business that's a recurring revenue model, haven't you? So I guess that's something that gives you some surety of future business, that gives you a bit of confidence to take on more people, I presume.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been really building the service side of the business over the last couple of years. Yeah, took on a service supervisor at the start of this year, and an older, mature head, you know, level shoulders, which is what we needed in the business. We had a lot of younger guys. Took on an ops manager last year as well. Again, older, mature, you know, 20, 30 years experience in the industry. And that's what I needed to bring in to guide some of the younger guys. Every alarm system or security system we install, we always go for a service contract after. And that's your guaranteed revenue every month. You know, it pays for the office essentially, and then you build off of that with your installs and further forth.
Yeah.
And talk us about team then, because as you said, like you don't want just any old engineers. You want to find the right ones, and you want to make sure that when they're at work, they're having a great time as well. So talk us through, you know, what that journey's been like.
Yeah, I mean, I think every day I get sent a CV, and you look at the CV. You've been at a company for 3 months, you've been at a company for a year, you've been at a company for 2 years. It's not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone that's been there for 3 or 4 years at least, and they don't hop about, because one, it shows a commitment to the company, and two, they're obviously pretty good at their job. So we try and, I can look at a CV and within a second I'll decide if I'm interested or not without reading. I just look at the dates. If the dates don't add up, then I don't really read much into it. Might be short-sighted by me, but it's not done me bad on engineers. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of engineers out there, but we really want to maintain the quality and make sure we get the right guys in at the right times as well for the contracts we're bringing in. So that's one of the key things for me, is when you, as the company grows, you've got to let go more and more of the control, and you've got to make sure you've got the right people coming in to take over that control. Otherwise, don't want to think about where it would go.
And what's that transition been like then, as you've kind of moved from being in the business to more on the business? You know, how have you coped with that transition?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to when I was doing the sales again from a young age, probably early to mid 20s, when I was starting to like push more to being in the office and take the management side of the business. I would have a shirt and jeans in the back of the van. I'd be doing an install, be all grubby, and then I'd have a survey at 1 o'clock. So I'd pull up down the road, I'd jump in the back of the van and close the door. I had the lights on in the van, I'd baby wipes, I'd wipe my face, get my dirty overalls off and my work trousers, put on a pair of shoes, jeans and a shirt, spruce myself up and get a bit of hairspray on, and I'd turn up to the customer to do my survey, pretend I've been doing this all day, jump back in the van, drive down the road and change back into my scruffs, and on we go.
Yeah. So you were really flitting between the two, and over the time then you've done a lot less of the on the tool stuff, eh?
Yeah, exactly that. So I was, like I said, I'd be on the tools, doing an install, do a survey, then back to doing an install or service and things, and then gradually it built up to being right one day in a week I'd be in the office, so I didn't have to keep my shirt clean in the back of the van. And then just progressively it became more and more office, and then all of a sudden one day I realised I've not got a toolkit in the back of the van. I bought a pickup truck, and less things went in it, and then into a car. So
what for you as you kind of made that journey, was that always the plan? Like, were you wanting off the tool? Were you trying to build a business? Like, you think back to your entrepreneurial days as a primary schooler.
Yeah, no,
how is what's happened?
I mean, I love being on the tools. Not last weekend, the weekend before, I was with one of the engineers to do a camera installation over the weekend. It was just one day, and I was down there back in the scruffs, and I really enjoyed it. It was just to get a job over the line. We were trying to get some jobs finished, and I went, right, come on, why don't we do it? He picked me up, and we drove down there, and that was it. Away we went, and I loved it. It's not that I don't love being on the tools. I do. It's been a good few years since I've been on the tools now, but yeah, that in order to push the business and bring more staff in and think, you need to take that step. You can't be on the tools, because if you're doing that, you're not bringing in the work, you're not bringing in the money and things. So naturally, you go to more of an office role. I'm still doing remote diagnostics and remote technical assistance for the engineers, so I'm still involved in the day-to-day with jobs when it comes to a sort of technical aspect, and I'll dial into the engineers' laptops or stuff if required, because I enjoy it. That's the thing, instead of sitting pushing paper about on the desk, I quite like setting time aside to do stuff. And when we're dealing with monitored CCTV, especially when we're looking after millions of pounds worth of cars or assets, then we really want to make sure that it's done to the right standard every time. So I'll sit on the computers with the cameras up, and the engineers are on site, and when we're commissioning systems, and it'll be up on my screen all day, just with the analytics side of it for the AI, to make sure that we're setting up to the best of our ability, and then I'll monitor that over the next so many weeks to make sure any tweaking needs to be done, it will be done. So I still keep my hand in that way. And
so, and in terms of the customers that you serve and the geography that you cover, what can you give us a sense of that?
Yeah, I mean, we aim high-end residential and commercial as our baby, so to speak, and that's where we see ourselves in the market, and that's probably 95 to 98% of what we actually do. Geographically, we are North England, all Scotland. So we started going a bit south because we've seen it's a lot easier to get to Carlisle and Newcastle than it is to Inverness or Aberdeen. So we started in the coach in the top of England, which has been going well. We've won some really big contracts. We mentioned JD Group. So we've got the service installation for the whole of Scotland for that, which we won as of April. So that's been it's good. It's great. We didn't know what to expect from when we get to the start of the contract and how many calls we'll get hammered with SLAs and things. But no, the girls in the office have been on top of it, and we're actually on 100% of our SLA. So
well done.
Yeah. So
start.
I wish I could take all the credit, but no. Again, the girls in the office have done a great job. So.
And how do you get some of these nice big contracts then? I mean, because you've got some others as well, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, namely, I said Peter Vardy was one of our big ones when a few years back we got in with Peter Vardy, which has been great over the years. A name that everyone knows in Scotland, so it's it's been brilliant. Some great installs, some great work. But they're a great company to deal with. So, built up relations. How we get in, networking. A lot of it is networking. In fact, all of our big contracts we've got has been from network events. I've been travelling up and down the country to events and a lot of nights out and a lot of beers.
What a shame, aye. Yeah, that sounds tough.
So, but are these like relevant industry networking events, or is it just like to the local coffee meetup in Edinburgh?
It's all been sort of industry ones. So down south, a lot of the ones, so IFSEC, which was in London, it's a big massive convention at London Excel. So you go down there, everyone's showcasing their stuff, and then afterwards make sure you're sort of rubbing shoulders with the right people, and it's paid off. So we get recommended a lot by distribution and manufacturers if people are looking for someone in Scotland. A lot of the national accounts don't have engineers in Scotland and things, or so we seem to pick up a lot of that when people ask for recommendations and say, go to iFire.
So you've got iFire, it's a successful business, you've got great, and then you just decide to open a coffee shop.
Yeah. So, I mean, our office was in Ballgreen on Ballgreen Road. So we had our original office, which we moved into, was on the corner of Ballgreen Road, which is now the Bonnie Barista there. And we got, what was it? We were in the shop along the road, and a guy comes and knocks from McHugh and Fraser and said, what are you doing with that unit on the corner? Because it still had the iFire branding on it. And I said, it's full of all my crap from when I sold the house. He said, his words were just like every vacant unit in Edinburgh. And he turned around and said, it'd make a great coffee shop. I said, do you think? I went, I've been thinking about that. And he said, yeah, you're sitting on a gold mine there. I said, yeah, I thought that too. I said, come along and have a look. So I took him along, and he started saying, I'd give you X amount a year for this, and I'll rent it out to a high street brand. I said, screw that, I'll do it myself. So I went home that night and I went to Amy. We're opening a coffee shop. That was it. I get a lot of eye here.
No, but I think it's interesting just seeing this, because this is what business is about. It can be an emotional ride. So
no, it is.
And you get to do things.
I mean, going home and just saying to her, we're opening a coffee shop, and then she said, what do you mean? I says, I had a guy in, and says, I think we can do it. So kind of took it from there. And we took ages getting it open.
Yeah.
The shop fitter we had is he's got an old guy to come in and do it, and a couple of old guys that are maybe a wee bit slow, and we tried to get summer, we ended up July, so we missed June and things, but no, we got it over the line. We got it open, and it's been successful ever since. It's been great.
And Amy, so her background, what's...
Yeah, so her background's hospitality. Her parents have owned 30 odd restaurants over the years. She was working in them from a young age as well. So she had that mentality and drive, and knows how to run any hospitality business, really. So between the two of us, she runs the day-to-day, and I've got the business brains behind it.
Yeah.
So that works well.
And you said earlier, off camera, you're a silent partner in that business.
A very loud silent partner. I'm sure all the staff will agree. I walk in and I just look around, and you can see them staring. I can see them in the corner of my eye. They'll look at me going, what's he going to say? Even yesterday I popped in and went, I feel that every time you walk in you're looking for something. I'm always looking for something. I was like, whether it's a good or bad thing, it doesn't, it's yet to be seen. And yeah, so a very loud silent partner is what I like to call myself.
How did you come up with the name?
I came up with it. I'm taking full credit. So, a lot of horrendous names before. I think it was, we sat down time and time again to try and come up with a name. I can't even remember half the names we come up with. They were terrible.
Can you remember like a really bad one?
I can't remember. I can't remember the name. I was watching a program, and I loved the Reddingtons. That was it. Raymond Reddington. I can't remember what it was, but I loved the guy, the character. I thought it was brilliant the way he was. He was just, it reminded me of me in certain aspects, and Amy was just like, no. And I also Boyle's Barista, and I got vetoed as well.
Boyle's Barista.
I don't think I got to the end of saying that one, and she shot that one down. And we were just lying on the couch, and I just shouted it out, Bonnie Barista, and she went, I like it. And I went, no, you don't. She went, I do. I went, okay. But yeah, that's it. Done.
Yeah.
Great.
And the Bonnie Barista it was.
The Bonnie Barista, yeah, great. And we've got the coffee cups here. It was a nice latte earlier on. Thank you.
And so, what's the plans for that as well? Because now you're juggling multiple things, right? You've got iFire you're trying to build. You've got Bonnie Barista. Like, how have you found the management of multiple businesses and your time and?
Yeah, good question. Have I managed? Yeah, no. Again, at the end of last year, bringing in an ops manager and speaking to Jodie, our office manager, and really pushing them to take more responsibility, bringing in sort of older people in the business. With iFire has released some of my time to put into the coffee shops. That I've got weekly meetings with Amy that we do in working hours now. I take my time out to sit down, and we'll go over figures, go over products sold and stuff. But we had Ballgreen, we're flying with Ballgreen, so we're looking for a new unit, and as I always said, we'd never open up in Morningside or Bruntsea. There's too many coffee shops, and every street corner's got a coffee shop. And I don't know if it was planned by Amy or not, but we went to the Chop House one Sunday, and she got me a good few beers, and I've walked out and went, what about that unit? And Amy went, I've sent you that one. And you said no. So anyway, I agreed after a few pints we'd go and see it. And we ended up taking it on.
Ah, right.
So I took that one on and opened it in November last year. All the profits that we took from the first year of trading with the first one, just put it straight back in, skimping and scraping to open it. And even up to 5 minutes before opening, Amy turns up with new lampshades and said, these window lights that you've just put up, I want these ones now. So there were literally people walking in the door and I'm still screwing up a lampshade. So, but we got there, which is the main thing. And then quickly after that, we got offered the North Castle Street one.
Mm-hmm. What was it before it was Barista?
What one?
Sorry, North Castle Street.
It was a Waka. There was a little cafe in between.
All right.
It was more of a sort of greasy spoon type, you get your bacon rolls and things. It was very dirty. So all the units when we've taken them on have been...
most of them are,
Yeah, they're disgusting. We transformed it, and again, we thought it's a small unit, it's only 20 square metres, it won't cost much. We've literally just opened it, and we're starting to negotiate terms for a third. We're thinking, I phoned Amy and I said, what do you think? Should we do it? And she said yes, and I expected her to shoot me down and say no. But since she said yes, I said, right, we're going to have to follow it through now. So we did, we managed to, but what we didn't realise is all the expensive things still need to go in. So it cost pretty much the same as Bruntsfield, despite it being a fraction of the size. To open, so we're skimping and scraping and pulling money out of investments where we could to put money in. Everyone thinks that your pockets are deep and got money falling out the back of you, but no, I pulled money out of investments to pull it together and go open, which has been great.
And you've done a nice bit of marketing for that, the launch of that one.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so many people in Edinburgh have seen the parking tickets that we've done. So we designed a flyer that looked pretty much identical. I mean, I had to do a bit of market research and go and get a parking ticket and take it home. And so I took the parking ticket home.
So you deliberately got a parking ticket?
I got a parking ticket. And once I got it, jumped in the car, went home and designed a flyer and would print them off A5 and put them side by side till I got them pretty much identical. I even started off with the council logo and went, I better not do that. So I started off with the exact same flyer, and then I started taking their logo off and I put our logo on, take some of their text off and put our text on. And so from a distance, it just looked like the whole of George Street, the whole of Newtown, basically been parking tickets everywhere. And all I had on it was turn over for a free coffee.
Yeah.
So when you turned over, we had our opening date when we were opening, and if anyone came, they'd get a free coffee.
Great.
And it went down well.
Not the traffic wardens.
What were they doing?
So I started doing it and I was like, right, come on, let's just go. I went all the way along Thistle Street. I thought Hill Street. I thought I'd keep it a wee bit low key, and then just came back along George Street, and every single car got some photos. You're looking back and I just started laughing. I was hiding from traffic wardens and stuff. Not that I could do anything, but it just went right the way through Edinburgh, ticketing them. Some of the traffic wardens then came in, started waving about 20 parking tickets that we'd issued, said, I'm taking them all off, you can't do this. And the staff were like, well, it's not us, you just speak to the owner. And he said, I've just gone and taken them all off. So the girls in the shop said, just let you know, the traffic warden's been in, he's taken a whole of the tickets off. I said, where about? He said, North Castle Street and George Street. So I went back up to North Castle Street and George Street and reticketed all the vehicles. And I spoke to a few people when I was doing it, and they're like, this is great. And the builders were on a site. Apparently, when the traffic wardens were taking them off, they were shouting down saying, leave that's my free coffee. So that's brilliant. Most people it went down well with. It was a bit of tongue-in-cheek and a bit of a laugh.
Was there not, if I'm remembering rightly, was there not a Tesla Cybertruck as well? Did you not ticket that?
We didn't quite manage to ticket it. So we were, this was more recent.
All right.
We were on holiday, and I got told there was the Cybertruck on Castle Street. I said, right, that should be good to get a ticket on it. So I didn't really know the circumstances. Just seen a picture on Instagram. I said, I'll put I put a post on my LinkedIn. I think it was free coffee for the rest of the year if anyone gets a ticket on it. So I just try and create a competition. It was actually one of our girls in the coffee shop went up, and we managed to get, they convinced one of the staff members to hold it over it. So we still got one of our tickets almost on the side.
Almost, yeah.
Almost,
You'll take it.
Yeah, but a few people were turned up and they were trying to go and put the ticket on it, but they had barriers around it, so they couldn't get to it.
But listen, I mean, it's a good thing. But you've obviously got a good level of competence in sales and marketing. In terms of establishing the brand of iFire, and then obviously Bonnie Barista, which is better, by the way, than Boyle Barista.
Yeah. I've got to agree.
So how's that? How have you managed to do all that then?
Just using good products, quality. We've never sort of skimped and scraped, from iFire to the coffee shop to anything I've really ever done. It's just about bringing good quality at a fair price. We might not be the cheapest out there for things, but I believe that everything we do has got a fair price and it's worth what it is. We would rather bring a product to the market that's more expensive, but we won't get callbacks to. When the new Scottish fire legislation came out with smoke detectors required, we used one of the most expensive smoke detectors for houses. We've not had a single callback. As opposed to cheaper ones. You can get ones half the price probably. We just didn't entertain it, said this is the product we use and we're sticking to it. People ask us to install other things, we'll say no. We've got a certain standard, we won't let it slip. Mm-hmm. So it's more about believing in the products that we sell and pushing what we believe in, doing a good job.
Yeah, and you can see that go-getter attitude, selling cards as a P5, starting a bouncy castle company and all of that, up to then, guerrilla tactics like, leafleting cars. It's really, really cool to see that.
Got a few more up our sleeve.
And in fairness, again, credit to your dad for encouraging, obviously he's got an entrepreneurial mind as well, but encouraging that and nurturing it at an early age.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the things which I don't agree with the school system is they don't encourage that sort of mentality that, I'll not say too much bad about the school system, but I just don't like it. Elon Musk has said a lot about it, and you look at a lot of entrepreneurs in the world, don't have a lot of grades or dropped out of school, got dyslexic and a lot of things like this, and I just think you can use so much more potential and use your brain in other ways and push to really drive yourself and focus on yourself and what you can bring to the table rather than what people want you to bring to the table.
David, we ask everyone, what is your guiding principle in business?
I think customer focus, but also staff focus. I think it was Richard Branson that said, look after your staff, they'll look after your customers. So like our new office, we've got a pool table and table tennis and stuff, and a fridge that the guys can come in and get free soft drinks, and we do events with pizza and pool competitions. So the products, again, using the right products and bringing just what you can bring to the table. I'm a big believer in, it's not the product itself, it's the solution. So I try and sell the solution rather than the product. You can get 100 people to come out, and 10 people you're quoting against, they'll all sell the same camera, same recorder on the same site. Whereas we try and look at it as what's the customer's requirements and try and build something to meet what they require rather than just a off-the-shelf job. So it's really just listening to customers to see what they want, then guiding them. So a lot of the time customers come to us and what they think they want isn't actually what they want. So it's listening to them and then saying, well, have you thought about this and have you thought about that, and sort of guide them to what they really want. And the end goal is that you can walk away from a job thinking you've done a good job, and the customer's obviously got customer satisfaction. But I think a big thing is the staff, looking after your staff. I think especially this day and age, it's not the old school tactics, and you bring them in the office and give them a bollock. And I've none of my staff are on disciplinaries. I'm a firm believer of, if there's an issue, you bring them in, you have a one-to-one conversation, and I think as soon as you go down the disciplinary route, you're kind of losing it as it is. And I don't like. I think a disciplinary is like a threat. Not saying that we wouldn't go down that route if we had to, but I just think there's other ways to go about it. And if you speak to them, I think I'm an approachable person, but others might say different. But I'd like to think I've got an open door policy, and I always say, come and speak to me if there's any gripes or anything. But we don't get a massive amount.
David, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story, and we wish both your businesses, and I'm sure many others you've got in the pipeline, all the best.
Perfect.
Brilliant.
Great.
Well done.
Thanks for having me.